Hey, this is Review by Norm. I am talking about the Anchorage School District. We had proficiency reading drop by 10 points in K through 2 grades, which are, if you don't know, if you don't have kids or if you're just not in that kind of ballpark, those are the years that dictate between actually getting a grasp and keeping up with the curriculums that are going to be given, as well as just being able to um, process the information that is going to be required of them, just in just everyday life, especially if the parents don't keep up with their kids, um, which is also another issue that I personally have a strong opinion on, but I won't put it in here. But it dropped by 10 points. In this reading, it's very misleading because it keeps talking about just, white kids in lottery schools were still above target, white people, the wealthy, um, white and wealthy children dropped in achievement when they could have just said wealthy children. So it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because Anchorage is the melting pot of pretty much school systems. We have the most demographics in our school systems comparative to a lot of schools in other states. So I just find that very biased, very opinionated, something that didn't need to be added, and it was more like just to take a poke. I think that was a huge error in the part of this editor. Uh, it's curriculum, okay, and teachers ineffective in teaching and reading to K2, and then talking about how the face masks are they impeding the learning. I personally do, as far as acuity, not able to understand facial recognition signs, only have the eyes, not even the nose to see if they're flared up or not. You're not able to see the mouth, word fragments, because you can only hear so much through a mask, especially if you, for one, can't articulate to begin with because you're so young, and then two, you're muffled because you don't have really that outspoken word yet, like adults do, for the most part. The part that really made me sad was this part right here where it said 20 schools were above target and 38 schools were below target in the fall, what they were talking about back in 2019. And then now we fast forward 2 years, that dropped to 13 schools above target and 51 schools below target in the winter. Seven. So some new schools got added, obviously, in here from that time. That I guess join the ASD, because I guess if you're private, and I could be wrong, so don't take me a word on it, but I guess if you're private and then you go public, maybe there's just more schools added, or this person really just didn't count right. So I'm trying to give a benefit of the doubt as more schools got added. The part that burned in my soul is being a business owner and making mistakes such as, do I spend too much money on supplies, or am I just whatever? Uh, $19,000 is what they say is the cost of each kid that goes to a school in the Anchor School District. That means a classroom of 20. 20 times 20 is 400. So you're talking 400,000, 380,000 roughly per class, and they failed. They dropped. Now, from a business standpoint, if a business hired me by paying me $400,000 roughly to ensure that the business is in a incline and not a decline, and I failed on that, I most likely would lose my job, especially if it went down by 10%. If they hired me for 400,000, the business goes down by 10%, I don't have a job anymore. This is a huge red flag. Is there needs to be a level of accountability to where the books need to get open, the names need to be written in it, and people need to say, this is, you're out, or this is your last strike. This is your last year of either being in charge or uh, not leading like you should. Like this is crazy. Is to the level that these teachers are held to try to figure out crap that is out of their control. Teachers are just there to teach the kids with the curriculums given. They have no say per se, as far as I've seen and heard and had to witness. Teachers don't really get a say in what might be better teaching regimens for these kids. And I'll be the first one to say it. Parents are a huge problem from what I see when I go to school and hang out to kind of see how my kids are doing in class. Um, Not really like them knowing I'm there, but I watch them from the window. Um, I'll sneak around and ask the teachers, like, hey, how's MJ been doing? Has she, this, that, and the other, stuff like that. Then even for my younger one, I'll go talk to the teacher while, she's out at recess, like, hey, how's BB doing? Is my children, how am I, what's happening? Has she done anything out of the norm? Is she paying attention? She asking questions, and she's like, well, she's not really asking questions. Can you give me the curriculum that she's not asking questions? Like, I'm very in sewn into my children. My children are my business. Again, as I say, if my kids can't survive in the world of tomorrow, I have failed as a parent. And I don't think enough parents have that integrity. uh, I know it's also self-defeating when you have to witness your kid being, masked up. Um, Even parents that have their kids that get, attacked at school by other kids, verbally assaulted, bullied, all this other stuff is, yes, all that is terrible. But we've all lived through it. And I tell my kids is, yes, bullies are the trash of the earth. They're like the rat that keeps coming back. But they're not going to make it in the real world if they don't learn something. So them attacking you is because of their own uh, I guess, inequalities. Like they are not able to grasp on whatever's being handled to where you might grasp it, and they're like, I hate that person because they know what to do. Let it go. I've seen it time and time again. And what happens after high school? That kid works at McDonald's and the fryers, or he has just like the worst labor job. Uh, well, I guess not now because I guess they don't really have people that hang out on the back of trash cans anymore. Even though that was really cool, but I asked a couple people, and it's like, well, I've been in jail, or I have a felony, whatever, whatever. But it was always a very bad story as why they have to become a garbage man. So like, oh, that's kind of wild. Or people that work in the back of kitchens. So, and that's what I tell my kids. And like, oh, well, I'm not gonna be working in that area. I'm like, well, then let it just pause them out. Just don't pay attention to them and just keep going. And then they're like, oh, that works for me. I'm like, but if they do something bad, let me know so I can show up and rectify the problem. But yeah, man, it's $19,000 per kid, 400,000, and if you just have one classroom, and you go down by 10 points, is I have nothing more to say than you should be looking for another job. I don't see how these people can sit here rightfully and just say, well, we didn't know this and that. And it's like, I was able to figure it out. I'm a parent. I have no ASD like training at all. I don't know the systems they mess with. I don't, but when I see numbers, you have to fix some stuff. This is madness. This is uncalled for. Like, you go down 10 points in 2 years, that means, I mean, like, $100 million business, you lose 10%, that's $10 million out the window. The school district's given five is asking for 500 and like 70 $540 million for this next term, 21 or 2022 to 2023, for the school repairs and all this extra stuff. You can't even teach kids, but like, you're talking about repairing a school. Like, that's it's just madness. So Alaska, wake up. Like, this is getting saucy. Like, this is getting very, very venomous for kids to where I look at people like, hey, if you want to create like a little homeschool like pod, whatever, take the 4,000 and just be able just to, it needs to happen. I feel so bad for these teachers if people start taking their kids out because, yeah, teachers get scrapped. And it's not the good ones that get scrapped most of the time. It's not the bad ones that get scrapped most of the time. Pardon my, misphrase, but the bad ones know how to stay because they're already not happy. So they're just going to live it out as long as they can or as long as they can get, stuff done. But good people, they're going to do the work. They're not going to complain. They're not going to suck up to anybody. They're going to ask how your day's going, really mean it. They're going to try to do a good job in their classroom and they really mean it. They talk to a parent and they really mean it. Um, those are going to be the ones that get let go. But that's all I got to say. You guys have a good night.